Hey guys, Steve here again. Just here to talk about another look back on our regular season. And today we're going to talk about the items. What items I used each week. Well, not each week, but different items I used on each Pokemon. And I'm also going to look at items in general and see which I brought the most and how many times I brought them. So first we'll look at each Pokemon. Again, we've got the set count here. Type that in. Make sure this whole thing is in view. Yep. So it's the same set count as it was last time, obviously. So on my Cinderace, I have used Life Orb, Assault Vest, White Herb, Scope Lens, Safety Goggles, and Focus Sash. If you remember from the move video, the White Herb went with the Substitute, and the Scope Lens went with the Focus Energy. That's to get guaranteed crits. If you use Focus Energy and you have a Scope Lens, you will crit 100% of the time. Lost both of these games. I did win the Safety Goggles game, though. That was for a Venusaur, even though it never came into play. And I did win the Focus Sash game as well. That was the Ally Switch coaching game. So that's how many different items? 6 different items in 8 games. So it's a unique item. There are 0.75 unique items per set. Porygon 2, always Eviolite. No unique items. That's to be expected. Liepard had a unique item every week. Choice Scarf, Eject Button, Mental Herb. Lost both of these. Eject Button, and that's why I got rid of Liepard, honestly. The Eject Button actually screwed me over. I Eject Button to switch in, and then I think a Scrafty came in and intimidated my Cinderace again. So we got like -2 attack in one turn. It was brutal. Vikavolt, Blunder Policy, and Assault Vest. He didn't actually play the Blunder Policy game, so that never came out, but he did crush on the Assault Vest game. Delmise, I've only run Weakness Policy, Assault Vest, and Room Service. Room Service has been the last 2 weeks, and he's not coming out in week 10. Weakness Policy was just, that was paired with an Ice Shard, Mr. Rhyme, with Trick Room. And that was the week I wasn't setting Trick Room with Porygon 2. That was a fun week. But yeah, that's only 0.43 unique items per set. Urshifu also at 1, because he was only in 2. Rindoberry, that was for Rillaboom, so I could survive a Grassy Glide. And Life Orb, because he was a sweeper that week. Mawile, that was the same set that I was playing the Rillaboom, so Grassy Seed was to raise the defense. And Mr. Rhyme has typically just been Focus Sash. I think most of the time he's Focus Sash, but we've also got Citrus Berry, Choice Scarf, and Oka Berry. I don't remember off the top of my head. I think that was for a Ninetales, and I think I EV'd him to survive a Heat Wave in the sun with Oka Berry. And I actually don't think he played that week. So that's 0.57 unique items per set. Quagsire, I've only run Life Orb and Citrus Berry. I think it's actually 50-50 split. And so in 6 sets, that's only 0.33 unique items per set. Gloom, typically Eviolite, which means like not bringing Porygon 2. And I ran a Focus Sash the week that I brought it against the Charizard team, so that I could, in theory, get a Sleep Powder off against Charizard, even through an attack. But I missed. That was great. Mantine, I've run Charty Berry, I think twice. Focus Sash, that was to KO a Jolteon with Mirror Coat. And otherwise, it's been Life Orb to do a lot of damage while maxed. Get to our Magnezone. First time I brought him, he had a Shuka Berry, and he didn't get played. And then the second game, which is in week 10, I'm bringing him with an Assault Vest. Grimmsnarl, I've typically run as a support, which means I have Papa Berry to heal, Light Clay I brought twice to set up screens. Kebia Berry was to survive a Max Ooze from a Venusaur, G-Maxed. And Weakness Policy never actually got to activate. That was the Pickpocket game, where I was going to activate Weakness Policy, give him a Life Orb from Mantine, and then sweep. but instead he just kept getting one shot. But I won that week anyway. Heracross, Choice Scarf, that's coming out in week 10. That is just to outspeed everything on his team and potentially set Sun for Gloom. And otherwise, that was an Assault Vest against the Reuniclus team, which honestly this wouldn't have mattered. Pyapa Berry would have been better, or even a Koba Berry, but Heracross I don't think ever even took a hit in that set. And I'm bringing Dunsparce with the Chople Berry in week 10, so it can live a Terrakion close combat. So other than the Pokemon who've played 1 or 2 games, Grimmsnarl's the most unique, followed by Mr. Rhyme. I'm not going to count Gloom. Oh, no, wait. Cinderace. Cinderace has had a lot of variability. These two didn't work at all. The White Herb was for a Cottony, and the Cottony didn't even show up, so this was a completely useless item. Originally, when I made that team, I had safety goggles on him. And that might have won me the game, because he did get Rage Powdered at some point in that game. That was against an Amoonguss team. And now let's go down to the actual items. So I went through each of my sets to see how many weeks I brought a specific item. So Life Orb I brought 8 times, Eviolite I brought 8 times, and Assault Vest I brought 8 times. This is out of 10 weeks, so there's only 2 weeks where I didn't bring one of those 3 items. Coincidentally, there's only 2 weeks where I didn't bring either Gloom or Porygon 2. Rindoberry was just the one time on Urshifu. Choice Scarf has mainly been for... Twice it's been for setting the sun, and actually twice it's been for Trick. So the first time was on Liepard, so I could get a faster fake out onto a Weavile, but it also had Trick just to mess up something else. The second time was on a Mr. Rhyme, so I could set Sun for Gloom, and it also had Trick. And this third time is on a Heracross to get fast close combats off, but also to set Sun for Gloom. The one problem with getting rid of Liepard is that I no longer have a Prankster Weather Setter. Weakness policy, so it was Grimmsnarl once, it was Delmise once, or maybe Delmise twice. Must have been Delmise twice. Can't remember off the top of my head having another weakness policy user. Grassy Seed was just the one time on Mawile. Assault Vest has mainly been on Delmise, but I've also used it on Magnezone and Cinderace. Focus Sash has mainly been on Mr. Rhyme, but I've also used it on Gloom and Mantine. Chardyberry, both times, has been on Mantine. Chople Berry is on Dunsparce. Eject Button, we talked about with the failure of Liepard. Citrus Berry has mainly been on Quagsire, I think 3 of them, and then once on Mr. Rhyme. The White Herb. Who was White Herb on? White Herb was on Cinderace, yeah. To block Charm. Mental Herb was on Liepard to block Taunt. Blunder Policy was a Zap Cannon Vigavolt. And Scope Lens was the Focus Energy Cinderace. Iapapa Berry was for the Grimmsnarl. 2 Light Clays on the Grimmsnarl. Shuka Berry on a Magnezone. Safety Goggles on Cinderace. Kebia Berry to survive. Poison Attack from Venusaur on the Grimmsnarl. Oka Berry on the Mr. Rhyme to survive a Heat Wave. And the 2 Room Services were on Delmise. So overall, how many items is that? That's a sum. I don't want a sum. Count. So I've run 23 different items. I'd say that's fairly good. 23 different items in 10 weeks, so that's 2.3 items per week. Different items per week. And obviously you can see what I prioritize. Life Orb, Eviolite. Most people won't have Eviolite this high, but I got a Porygon 2, so that's what you'd expect. Assault Vest, Focus Sash is always good. If you know you're going to die, you get an extra turn. Unless it's a Sand or a Hail attack. And then a little bit of Citrus Berry. and a little bit of choice scarf and weakness policy. So there's my items, and then for the next video we will talk about my usage stats as well as some abilities. Not much to talk about abilities, but it's interesting to see the variability there. So thanks for watching. Tune in next time.